All right, everybody. Did you like my video? That intro took me a long time to put together. And, about today's show, anyway, it's really important. There's two things I want to talk about. One is near-Earth objects. So a few warnings that NASA's put out. And yes, I know people hate NASA, but you know what? A lot of people hate a lot of everybody, and a lot of other people hate other people too. It's not the way it's supposed to be, just the way it is. But you know what? I'm talking about NASA anyway. So, and another topic that goes along with that is going to be what's happening to our poles, the pole shift. All right, so the video that you're looking at is a compiled video, a compiled image of all known asteroids within the Earth, near Earth, basically. So that's the asteroid belt out alongside there. If you're watching, if you're not looking, that big swatch of orange right there is the asteroid belt. And then all the asteroids, there's 8,000 known asteroids that are near Earth or on a near Earth collision. So what's it matter if they're not going to hit Earth? Well, you have to look at all those. All those rocks are bouncing into each other. All of them. They're hitting each other. They're breaking pieces off. They're flinging out everywhere. But as you notice, they're really not flinging out everywhere. They're flinging into the solar system near our sun. The reason that is because the gravitational force of the sun is pulling these asteroids in. So what would happen if our sun started going supernova on us? Its gravitational pull would pull every bit of that, and every planet would be bombarded. So I mean that's kind of a bad thing to say, but it's scientists say it's going to happen. Scientists from and NASA say that everything's going to happen. They have proof it's going to happen, but it's not going to happen now. Everything always, for some reason, stops happening. It's not going to happen for millions of years. It's weird. Just like we won't be hit by an asteroid in millions of years. Yet we get bombarded by smaller asteroids every day. So the NASA's warning at the time, which I'm a little late on the video, NASA's warning was based on an asteroid that came in the other day, yesterday to be exact, 2019 AB5. It's about, I think, 60, 70 feet wide, or in diameter. It missed Earth by 1.5 million miles. So that's about 2, 4, 6, I don't know, 5 lunar distances or something like that, maybe. So a lunar distance is 280,000, so 300,000 miles or so. So scientists always say that we're not going to get hit and all that, and NASA's warnings on asteroids, I think, is bullcrap. They say that we're not going to be hit, but the video I just showed you, the odds are higher than you think. I mean, really, the odds are 100% every day, because we do get hit every day. But those are smaller asteroids that are being flung into our atmosphere from other planets. I mean, most of the other planets do take up some of the asteroids. Our moon does deflect a lot of asteroids. Some think it. Some thinks it's too good to be true that it does, and that's where how divine intervention comes in. So the main thing that's going on is NASA has discovered Apophis, which I have talked about, and they are pretty sure that Apophis they're not sure. I'll say that they're not sure that it's not going to hit. So when it comes into Earth's path, right, you see Apophis right there in white. It's on that purple ring, and then you see this bluish gray ring right there where the Earth is. So that intersection is 2029. So the Earth is going around this way. So Apophis is also going around this way. So by the time Apophis reaches here, the Earth will go around, and that will be 2029 right there. So that's how close we are to Apophis right now. Apophis is supposed to come in at a distance within our secondary communication satellites, if you don't know. So there's a plane view. It's a 3D view. So it's they think it's going to be around Santa Monica somewhere that it hits. And if you look at this video states that scientists will tell us if if an asteroid is ever going to hit. And I think they've already done it. And this video right here that I'm showing you is by forget the name. Big Think, YouTube channel Big Think. They did an interview with a NASA spokesperson, a communications person. Most of everybody know her as Michelle Thaler. She's always on Ancient Aliens. And they asked the question, would scientists tell us about a looming apocalypse or an asteroid coming towards us, that's going to hit us? And her response is a typical response of the government, I think.
Scientists actually knew that there was an impending catastrophic collision. Some asteroid was heading towards Earth. Would they tell you? And the answer is yes. We actually study the sky. Every night we're looking for objects that might be on a collision course with Earth. And if we find anything that even looks risky, we inform lots of people. The other thing is that the sky is available.
So who are those people they inform? Of course they inform, the foremost person is that they inform the government. They are the government. NASA is supposed to be a private organization that was taken over by the government. That's why it's nasa.gov and not nasa.com. That's why it's not nasa.org. It was supposed to be a public company or a private company with public transparency. But we all know how that transparency thing works. So the government won't tell us anything at all that they don't want us to know. And they're getting worse about it, just like most of our rights have been stripped away. People think we still have rights. No, we don't. If you could tell me one freedom you have or one free thing, freedom does have the word free in it. And no, it's not metaphorical. It's not a metaphor. Or it means free. So if anybody would like to tell me what free things you can do, without it costing money, I'd like to hear that, actually. Because a lot of people, I argue with people all the time about that. Do you think you're free? I mean, what's free? Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Available to anybody on the Earth. No one government owns the sky. There are telescopes everywhere on the planet. There's no way that anybody could hide the fact that some big asteroid was on a course.
They control most of
one of the things that I find very
most of the telescopes that are on this planet are owned by government, funded by the government, or funded by agencies that go by whatever the government says. Once you're funded by a government agency, they can classify your information as classified top secret. Anything they want, basically.
A scientist is people often ask the question, would scientists tell us if something really bad was about to happen? And you think about that sentence, and you have to ask the question, who is the us here? Am I not part of us? I remember back, I think it was in 2012, there was this idea that the Mayan apocalypse was going to come, that the world was going to end. It was all over the news. And I actually got a phone call from somebody. I was sitting at my desk at NASA, and somebody asked me the question, is the world going to end next week? And I thought about that because, of course, we knew that the world was not going to end. There was nothing happening astronomically that we could tell. But I realized this person didn't think of me as an actual human being. That if I knew the world was going to end in a week, I would be at work at my desk. I don't think so.
Now, let me get back to that part about her saying that people don't think of others who work for the government as people, and the government's made it that way on purpose to think as if they are above us. And a lot of people don't understand that the government is only a piece of paper. That's all it is. And however, the government wants you to believe that people like Michelle Thaler there, or our president or vice president, they make them think that they are irreplaceable if they die, if they go somewhere, if they're hurt, that they are not replaceable. And as you know, we replace our government every 4 years, just about. Sometimes every 8 years. And in the thing with Trump, every 2 weeks. I'm just saying. So, the reason people act that way towards government is because the government has made it that way. They've made you afraid of them. And that's not a good thing, and that's why people ask. Just like people, they ask the government, can we have information on this? They say no. Or a government, a police officer, or a fireman, or a law enforcement or military, they come up and it's they're deployed, or they tell you what to do. You're walking down the street and you're sitting there watching a firehouse burn down, and a cop tells you to leave. You don't have to leave. And a lot of people don't understand that. And what gives the people have given the name power, and that shouldn't have been done that way. So, just like you're watching here, the government, do you think the government would tell you that an asteroid or some type of object or Earth was on a collision with something, or the sun was going to shoot out a massive solar flare that's going to kill our grid? Or do you think the government would tell you that? No, they wouldn't. So, going back to this video, I don't know if I can get a close-up of it or not. I'll try to make it closer for you all to see. and it won't let me. So, if you're sitting there looking at that, look closer. You see objects hitting other objects, hot objects bouncing off other objects. And I know that this is a large amount of space compared to what we're seeing. I understand that there's probably hundreds of thousands of miles in between that, but if you look closely, they're not depicting that's what it is. And that's just 8,000 in, near Earth. There's just 8,000 near Earth, which Earth is on this gray line right here. There's 8,000 asteroids going in a circle just like this, passing by the Earth every day. That's a lot. You see the Earth right here in that corner right there. Look how many there are at any point in time. And they expect you to believe that they're not going to be, we're not going to be hit for millions of years. As a matter of fact, if you watch a SpaceX launch, they do videos, they do live feeds from their launches, and once they get into space, they will let you watch until their payloads are deployed. You can actually see asteroids bouncing off our atmosphere and being. As a matter of fact, if you watch the latest SpaceX launch, you can see asteroids bouncing off our atmosphere, and you can actually see a lot of other weird stuff. You can see things flying out of our atmosphere, which doesn't make sense. And I might make a video on that, as a matter of fact, because it's a little weird to watch things fly out of our atmosphere and I do mean in a hurry. It's not like it flies out and stops. It zooms out of the atmosphere. So, like I said, NASA has a warning that all these are, all this is going to happen. So, I'm going to show you a couple more things. So, there's an article that about this particular one. It says, asteroid spike. Earth could be caught in shock crossfire, warns new study. Earth may be caught in a crossfire of a massive asteroid spike with the rate of impact speeding up. Scientists have warned in a new study just days after a 170-foot object narrowly missed the planet. The findings of the research published in the Journal of Science by astrologists suggest that the rate of huge asteroid impacts on Earth has almost tripled over the course of the last 290 million years. The object smashed into the Gulf of Mexico 65 million years ago, resulting in the extinction of the dinosaurs, a prime example. The impact was just one of an ongoing spike of huge asteroid impacts which have continued to bombard the region of the solar system which contains Earth ever since they concluded. The team studied 1 billion years of asteroid craters on both the Earth and the Moon. Mr. Jernan, who is an associate professor of Earth science at the University of Southampton, said it's perhaps fair to say it was a date with destiny for the dinosaurs, and we also have a date with destiny. Their downfall was somewhat inevitable given the surge of large space rocks colliding with the Earth. And NASA has also, this is based on a NASA, this article is based on a NASA confirmation that the Earth has seen an increase of 1,000% of asteroid strikes or near-Earth objects. Researchers chose 111 large lunar craters with a diameter in excess of 6.2 miles, which were less than 1 billion years old, using NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter to estimate their ages. Images enabled to see how heat radiates off the moon's surface. As it takes longer for the big rocks to collide, they conclude craters surrounded by larger, hotter boulders resulted from more recent impacts than those surrounded by dust. So on Tuesday, an asteroid dubbed NASA 2019 AG7 flashed by Earth, missing by just 1 million miles, a tiny distance in galactic terms. It was discovered barely 2 weeks earlier on New Year's Day. And this actually happens more often now than it did, just a few years ago. And nobody knows why. So NASA has issued a warning. Giant 160-foot wide asteroid was discovered speeding toward Earth tomorrow. I'm actually a few days off. That was January 19th, yesterday. The asteroid, dubbed by NASA Asteroid 2019 AB5, will zip past Earth late on Saturday, January 19th. NASA scientists expect an asteroid AB5 to make a so-called Earth-close approach around 9:55 p.m. last night. During this flyby, the asteroid will reach its closest possible distance to Earth for the first and possibly last time in its orbit. NASA astronomers at the California-based JPL do not foresee any future accounts with the rogue space rock. So, apparently it's not going in a circle. It's actually coming in a straight line, from what I can tell. And if you haven't noticed, if you don't know, there was actual, I think it was in 2013, a asteroid slammed into Russia. It was about 60 feet wide. It destroyed 10,000 buildings and injured 2,500 people. It shot into our atmosphere at 42,000 miles an hour, around 70 feet in diameter. NASA estimated the explosion released more than 30 times the energy from the atomic blah that destroyed Hiroshima. So, if I don't know if anybody has seen that, but I'll show it to you. Might as well. It was very, very, very loud. So I'm going to show you what an asteroid looks like when it enters the Earth's atmosphere. This happened in 2013 in Russia. It was a 60-foot long meteorite. It was an asteroid that came into the Earth's atmosphere and burn up. And it does get a little loud because it does explode. And the explosion was so loud and the force from the explosion was so big that it destroyed over 10,000 buildings. And the glass and glass shards from that injured over 3,000 people. And just all those other explosions you heard, that was the delay. That's a delay, kind of a delay. It tells you about how far it is away. You can actually do the math on that. If you heard all that glass breaking, just imagine what would have happened if it had hit the ground. And just to let you know, NASA didn't know anything about this one coming in. If that tells you anything. They had no clue it was on its way in. Otherwise, they would have told somebody. But if they did tell somebody, they didn't tell Russia because nobody knew. It was a surprise. It was a surprise to them just as much as it was to everybody else. So that was 60 feet wide, and it destroyed 10,000 buildings and never hit the ground. So imagine what would have happened. Imagine what would have happened if it did hit the ground. And just like I said, the planet is bombarded with these 3 or 4 times a day. And if you let me go back, I'll go back to it and show you. So, this is the number of asteroids that's supposed to come in over the next few months. This is only from January 9th until March the 13th. And these are on known asteroids that are on a near-Earth collision several times a day. The 12th, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4, 5, 6, sometimes maybe more. Their lunar distances are quite large, but there's one right there that's 10.4. So let's look at the one that's not far away. So let's take a look at the one that's going to be coming around March 4th. 1.2 LD, which is 1.2 lunar distances. That's 300,000 miles. You're looking at about a 70-foot diameter on that. Maybe bigger. So, and that's just a guess. So it's going to come. If it was traveling past the moon, it might even hit the moon. That's how far it is away. That's how close it is. It could possibly hit the moon if it was in the right spot, because it's only 1.2 lunar distances passing the Earth. So, and that's just an estimate. So a lot of these, there's one that's a diameter of 13 meters, which would be 39 feet, somewhere around there. 39 feet in diameter, 0.3 LD. So that's probably within. That was on January the 12th. So that possibly could they could have hit the Earth. It could have burned up in the Earth's atmosphere. We don't know. It's a possibility that it did. So, like I said, this happens every day, and we do actually get hit several times a day. I mean, we get hit up to 10 times a day, and it's one of these days. It's not, just like the Russian one. Nobody knew that one was coming in at all. Which brings me to what I want to talk about next. Before I go into that, once NASA found out about Apophis, which is scheduled to hit in 2029, once they found out about it in 2004, they started an asteroid program in order to move asteroids or study asteroids. And once they found out about Apophis, all of a sudden they wanted to go to Mars. They wanted to put a base on Mars. And since then, they've made huge strides in doing so. And then over the last year, over the last few months, they've President Trump and Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence, told them to go faster. Not sure why. As a matter of fact, let's find out. Let's see if that headline brings up. So, and the reason I'm put that type that in there is because Mike Pence told NASA and told SpaceX that they needed to go faster with trying to get to Mars, putting people on Mars and building a space vehicle for people to travel. That's just odd to me. They killed the solar or the space shuttle program because it cost too much, and then they turn around and tell everybody to build a spacecraft for deep space travel, and then they want people to go to Mars, and all this is within a few months to a year after they identified Apophis as an asteroid that was likely to hit Earth in 2029. It's just odd. So, what brings me next to that is asteroids over the next few years. You could see an increase of meteorites. You could see an increase of cancer over the next few years. You can see an increase in a lot over the next few years. A lot of. And the reason is because the NASA issued a warning about a polar shift. And what that means is that if you look at this image right here, this is an image of our magnetic field around the Earth, and basically what it looks like. So you have the South Pole and you have the North Pole. Well, it just so happens that our North Pole is not there. It's not where it's supposed to be. So our North Pole is here. Our North Pole is sitting in the middle of the ocean near Russia. And if you can see that, I'll try to make it bigger for you. So, our North Pole is there, and it's switching with the South Pole. And the reason it's such a big deal and the reason NASA issued the warning is not to tell us anything, but it was because it was messing with the GPS. So they haven't issued a fix for it since 2010 or 2015, and the government shutdown has caused them to be delayed on that. But why it's so important right now, why a polar shift is important, is because it causes our magnetic field to drop down and be weak. And a lot of our magnetic field blocks solar radiation. It does block a lot of asteroids and a lot of meteorites, and it blocks a lot of comets. It blocks a lot of things along with our atmosphere. So our atmosphere is electrified and can become weakened by that. So what is a magnetic pole shift? A pole shift would cause compasses to point to the south instead of north and may have catastrophic consequences for humanity. Experts believe that pole reversals in the past have triggered mass extinction events, including the extinction of Neanderthals. And they're talking about during the dinosaur age. So when an asteroid took out the dinosaurs. NASA's Maven principal investigator Bruce Jakosky with University of Colorado Boulder warned recently that there's evidence the Earth's magnetic field is weakening and that we would soon see a complete reversal of magnetic poles. Well, NASA has confirmed this, and it is actually happening. So what's going on is our North Pole is reversing to the south. Our South Pole is reversing to the north. And it drops the strength down to 10 or 15%, which is not good. The sun could start burning people. People will start getting radiation poisoning from the sun. Cancer will quadruple. And also, on top of that, it weakens our atmosphere. Not only that, but right now we do have oxygen leaking out of our atmosphere into space, and it may affect that. Scientific researchers say there is evidence that the Earth's magnetic field has weakened significantly in the past 160 years, and that neutralization of the magnetic field and flipping of magnetic poles could occur in less than 1,000 years or as early as the next 100 years. And it seems that like it has already started. Now, they don't know how long this process takes because they've never seen it done. However, they're thinking that it's a possibility that it could only take a year for the magnetic poles to reverse, or a few years. And as our magnetic poles flip, it gets weaker. And the reason it's doing that is because of our iron core within the Earth. According to Monica Corte, I have no idea what that is, Nijmegen Geomagnetic Observatory at Potsdam, Germany, it's not a sudden flip but a slow process during which the field strength becomes weak. Very probably the field becomes more complex and might show more than two poles for a while and then builds up strength and aligns in the opposite direction. So that's what it looks like then. And I want to show you what it looks like after the fact. So let me show you that. So that's what it's going to look like during. So north is at top, south is at the bottom. Now you see our north facing, I guess, east, and then our south is facing west. And that it's, so now that is what it's going to look like eventually. Our magnetic field is going to go all catty-wonky, and it's going to mess everything up. And it's going to put everybody in danger. So not only that, so when that happens, you also have, as you can see, there's a video of solar wind strips Martian atmosphere. Well, we're not Martian, But we also have solar winds that will also reduce that. So we have all those solar winds. We also have electromagnetic interference that comes in from the sun. It can also destroy our electrical grid. Basically, scientists don't know, but they think possibly that Mars at one point, understand that Mars at one point went through this, and this is the reason why it has no atmosphere anymore. A magnetic pole shift that neutralizes Earth's magnetic field and leaves it exposed to solar radiation would initiate the process by which solar winds strip Mars of its atmosphere. However, the stripping of Mars' atmosphere by blasts of solar winds occurred over billions of years because the Earth expected to experience a magnetic pole shift for only 200 years. Scientists believe that the Earth will not lose enough of its atmosphere to cause extinction of life. That's true. That could possibly be true, but we don't know. Nobody's ever experienced this in a time of where there was intelligent life on Earth. But there's other problems. Reversal of the Earth's magnetic field will deprive life on Earth of the benefit of a magnetic shield and expose us to dangerous radiations such as ultraviolet radiation, leading to an increase in skin cancers. Exposure to solar radiation can also make power grids and electronic communication systems more vulnerable to disruption. Might even take them out. However, scientists have tried to allay fears caused by predictions by some doomsday theorists that a flip of the magnetic poles could shift the continents and trigger earthquakes, tsunamis, and catastrophic changes in the global climate. So, our poles are shifting. We've had an increase in earthquakes. We've had a hell of an increase in tsunamis and earthquakes. We've had a hell of an increase in volcanic activity. India, or the Indo-Pacific region, is being hit every day with earthquakes 6.0 or greater. And that just started happening as of recently. So what do you all think? Do you all think that we're doomed no matter what's happening? We have so much going on right now with Earth that it's hard to tell what's going to happen first. We have our own government, our own people split here in the United States. We, as of today, maybe, that Nancy Pelosi is talking about stripping our gun rights in exchange for a border wall. That might be the start of Agenda 21, taking that over. We have asteroid Apophis headed our direction. We have the government is in a really big hurry to send people to Mars and to put a base on the moon and Mars. We have solar radiation. We have solar flares. The sun has basically went to sleep. We have 1,000% increase in asteroids, near Earth asteroids hitting the Earth. So all this coming in at one time, it makes it hard and difficult to prepare for what's coming. What are we supposed to prepare for? Are we supposed to prepare for military takeover? Are we supposed to prepare for extinction? How do you prepare for extinction? We have FEMA putting mobile command centers all over the United States right now. If you haven't noticed, military is the military is is using uh, the railway to send equipment all over the United States. If I can find that video. And this has been as of recent. This was recently. Louisiana, Missouri. I mean, they're being moved all over the place. Military equipment. It's being moved all over the place. So what do you all think is going to happen first? I'm not exactly sure on what's going to happen. But all I know is we have all this stuff coming at us at one time. Or, how do you all prepare? What are you all preparing for? So, if you would tell me what you all what for in the comments, like my video, subscribe, and I hope I can make another video either today or tomorrow. Out.